rainfall patterns, while the agricultural, which we are concerned about primarily, is focused on the level of moisture in the soil, which is what affects the crops and the ability for the crops to be able to grow towards completion. It's not that the crops need rainfall, what they need is water. So that's why we are spending the largest capital investment to pump water to our highest production zones in the country, in St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and Clarendon, through the Essex Valley and the SPAD projects.
Is this coming out of the recent announcement from the Prime Minister of the $150 million water distribution program?
Yeah, no, well, this is a $4.4 billion that we're spending on capital investment in irrigation network.
Understood.
In addition to what the Prime Minister has announced, the Ministry of Agriculture has spent 90-odd million already in trucking and micro dams and other support, and we're going to spend another 110 million to double up on the trucking, to double up on the support for livestock farmers, to double up on the support for pumping drip irrigation and black tanks out to farmers. We're going to be buying another truck, 4,000 gallon truck, and we will also be continuing the rehabilitation of our wells and the training of farmers through the water utilization training that will help them to know how to use the water they get efficiently. So there's a lot of things being done in terms of short to medium term and medium to long term, which is going to help to build the resilience of our agricultural sector. Ultimately, we want to be able to mitigate and withstand droughts, and the best way to do that, the long-term way to do that, is to put in place a real proper structure for irrigation network, which is what we're doing. And until we get that across the country, we will continue to facilitate in terms of black tanks and trucking and micro dams and other means that will help to carry through the support to the farmers until we can build a network across the country.
And all this is being provided 100% free through the RADA and NIC, is it?
That is so. All the trucking is free of cost. Matter of fact, we are actually working with some of the private sector stakeholders and farmers. So there's some farmers, for instance, who have digged their own ponds using excavators and their own equipment, and we provide the pond liners free of cost to them to help to create micro dams in their communities. And we are working with farmers, of course. Livestock farmers, for instance, have received $15.7 million from us in terms of equipment to help them continue to be able to provide the support and the water and the nutrients. 8.97 for broiler production and 6.73 million towards small ruminant support. And we continue to partner RADA, NIC, and AIC to really procure the irrigation equipment and to even rehabilitate greenhouses so that we can put in place water harvesting capabilities, as well as to provide seeds for some farmers, because we know that there will be a reduction in production, and we want the production to continue as much as possible. So we're providing seeds and other adaptation support to farmers across the country.
Oh, awesome. Now, anything finally you want to leave with the listeners surrounding the ministry's work as it relates to that of your response for the current drought situation?
Just to let farmers know that we know that with all that we have said, you will still have a few farmers out there that will feel that they're in remote spaces or that they do not fall within the ambit of the support that is being received by several. So I continue to encourage them. One, reach out to your RADA office. Get to know your parish manager and your extension officers so that you can speak to them and collaborate with them to make your farming operations optimal. Two, organize yourself. As much as you can, organize yourself into community groups for farmers, to PMOs. It is easier to streamline support to you if you are an organized group. And three, for farmers who are out there, please register yourself at your RADA office. When you are a registered farmer, you have much greater access to benefits from the government because we have you in the system, we can account for you, and we will therefore use the money that is allocated to us to provide support for you because we know you're registered, you're accounted for, and we know what you're growing and where you are growing. right? So we ask you to just do those three things. Help us to help you, work with us, and let us continue as best as possible to see how we can help push past this drought and continue the positive trends. Remember, last year, agriculture was 7.3% contribution to GDP, 7 consecutive quarters of growth, 9.9% growth in domestic crop year on year. So we want to continue those positive trends as much as we can. But we know that we're having a hard time with the drought, so working together is going to help us to really combat that as much as possible.
Awesome. Now, thanks again. That was indeed the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries as it relates to the mitigation of drought conditions. Thanks again, Minister, for popping by the 104.9 FM.
Thank you.
Now we head on